Good evening and welcome everyone to our conference. We are very excited to see you all. We're very excited to see all of the hard work our speakers, the Office of Student Life, and the Black Male Initiative Program have done to make this conference come together. If you have any questions or comments during the session, please use the chat feature below. Tonight, we are touching upon a very serious topic that is very underlooked in our communities. We dive deep into learning about what are the social inequalities in the Latin community and what you as an individual can do to help make an impact on these issues as being part of our SPS community. Next slide, please. Tonight, you will hear personal stories, issues that may anger you, and towards the end, a look into what can be done to bring awareness into these issues. I am joined today by the following amazing individuals. Next slide, please. Teresa Ortiz is the joined the CUNY SPS community in July 2018. She holds a BS in Business Administration from the University of Central Florida and a MPA from Baruch College. Previously, Teresa worked for CUNY Central Office of Human Resources Management, where she served as Administrative Coordinator to the Director of Payroll and Deputy Director of the Human Resources Operations for 3 years. Teresa's passion for higher education stems from her time working as a student facilitator for team building and student development events at the University of Central Florida. Prior to switching her career to higher education, she worked for private finance companies. Teresa is an active member of the CUNY Scholarship Council and a voting member for the CUNY SPS 2021 to 2022 Governing Council. Additionally, she has assisted and co-advisor for the Latinx Student Union. She takes great pride in being a Cuban/Puerto Rican born in America. Next slide, please. Lisette Fortes currently serves as CUNY SPS as the Bursar coordinator. She is also a student at CUNY Brooklyn College, where she is set to obtain her master's in business administration in fall of 2022. She began her career at CUNY SPS as a part-time admissions assistant, where she worked with prospective students that were enthusiastic to join SPS. She then began her role as a full-time Bursar coordinator in 2017. She is also a member governing council from 2021 to 2022. She is also assisting in launching the start of the Latin Student Union Association. Lisette also works with Brooklyn Community Fridges, which is a community organization created to serve those in need of food. She is very proud to be from El Salvador. Next slide, please. Christy Acosta Reyes is a fifth-generation native New Yorker that comes from a diverse, predominantly Puerto Rican Latinx family. She grew up in the Lower East Side of Manhattan and East Harlem, which she credits for molding her into who she is today. She is currently a student in her last semester at CUNY SPS and is obtaining her BA in Communications and Media. She plans on pursuing her law degree after graduation to pursue her passion for fighting for the rights of those whose voices are often silenced. Christy has worked for various nonprofit organizations in workforce development education and nonprofit management. She has helped clients obtain jobs and educational pursuits through training and workshops. She has also helped manage departments through major projects and successful end-of-the-year goals. Once she obtains her law degree in order to help the Latinx community in the various areas of law, she feels there is a strong lack of representation. I now pass it on to Teresa.
Thank you, Parsh. On behalf of LSU, we look forward to speaking with you all tonight. For tonight's agenda, we will be defining social injustice and social inequalities, outlining statistics related to the Latinx community, discussing 2 social inequalities and some examples impacting the Latinx community, how and what we can do to help as a community, and more information about the Latinx Student Union and the benefits of joining. To begin tonight's presentation, I now pass it over to Lisette.
Thank you, Teresa. Hello. I'm so happy you're able to join us today. We appreciate your presence and hope you walk away from today's session with a greater understanding of some of the issues the Latin community faces and ways we can make a difference. We would like you to know that we are here to support and to build each other up. It is important to speak about the differences between social injustice and social inequality, for even though they may seem similar, there is a major component that one lacks. Social injustice can be defined as actions that are taken that cause unequal treatment to a group of people or an individual due to the absence of justice. This can occur in situations where the unequal gets treated equally while the equal gets treated unequally. Examples of social injustice would be refugees crisis, racial injustice, and income gap. Social inequalities is a direct or indirect prevention of an individual or a group of people in the society from accessing resources equally and impartially due to unfair, unequal policies. A great example of this would be zone schooling. In the 5 boroughs, a student is assigned a zone school and can only get into a non-zone school through lottery when applying, meaning if a student moves, they may only attend the zone school that they are assigned to. This inhibits children from having the same opportunities as one in a more privileged neighborhood. Social injustice and social inequality can often be interchangeably used. However, social inequalities is more of a bureaucratic level as opposed to social injustice. Tonight's focus will be on flashing light on the social inequalities the Latin community faces on an economical and social level. The reason this is so important is because social injustice leads to social exclusion and political disempowerment, leading to lack of representation to make long-term, very important changes to better our families and communities. The Latin community accounts for the majority of the growth happening in America. The US Hispanic population has grown significantly in the last decade. The share of total increase has increased by 52% from 2010 to 2019. The number of Latinos enrolled in college has increased from 2010 to 2019 from 2.9 million to 3.6 million. Latinos make up the largest minority group. While the Latino culture is fast growing, they still face the largest social inequalities.
Thank you, Lizette. Now we're going to highlight income inequality within the Latinx population. But first, I would like to share my own personal experience with income inequality. Being that I was born in New York City and always felt like it was home for me, I had always planned to move back after I graduated. After completing my undergraduate degree at the University of Central Florida, I accepted a job at a private financial industry firm as an accounting assistant 6 months after graduating. Being that it was my first full-time job out of college, I truly did not know what to expect. At the time, I was worried about paying rent, utilities, and all of my other bills. During this time, it was also my first time living alone in my own apartment. Though I had a lot of emotional support from my family, I, like many others, knew that all of the financial responsibilities would fall on me. While attending college, I worked 3 part-time jobs to make ends meet. So I was used to working hard. When I accepted the offer as an accounting assistant, I did not think twice about the salary. The company offered me $40,000 a year with an end-of-year bonus depending on my performance. I never thought to negotiate my salary. I was just thankful for a full-time job, and after doing the estimated calculations, all I truly focused on was making sure I had enough in my paycheck every 15 days to cover my living expenses. As the accounting assistant, I was required to work from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. and was expected to work overtime during the end of each quarter. The only thing the company offered for working overtime was compensation for dinner. When I asked about a lunch break, I was told that it was company culture to eat lunch at your desk and continue working. At the time, I was the only minority assistant, and growing up, my parents instilled in me to work hard no matter what and make sure you never risk losing your job, AKA your income. During my time working for this organization, my mental health seriously declined. I would wake up at 5 a.m. and make the hour and 15-minute commute from the Bronx to Midtown East because walking in a minute after 7 a.m. was not allowed. I did reach out to a therapist during this time, but given that the insurance through the company was not the best, I could not afford to pay the $100 per therapy session. After 4 months of working with the company, they hired another minority assistant who was Black and someone who really helped me come out of my shell, find my voice as an employee, and took me on as a mentee. She had been in the workforce for 2 years and at this point had her fair share of experience with different jobs and negotiating salaries. We built a strong coworker relationship and relied on each other to make it through the tough work days. After that, 2 other assistants were hired who were white, but still very supportive towards me because everyone knew that I was the quiet one at work and I truly just did my job. The 4 of us formed a great bond, so one day after work, we went out to dinner. And after our normal complaints about work, one of the assistants asked the forbidden question, "How much does everyone make?" Instantly, I panicked because as most people know, that question is taboo in the Latinx household. My mommy would always tell me, never show anyone your cards or tell anyone how much you make. Move in silence, never share too much, etc., etc. I was hesitant to share, but I formed close relationships with all of these girls. So I told them I make $40,000 a year, and they all gasped. At that time is when I found out that I was the lowest paid assistant in the office. The next day I told the controller, who was not my boss, but another close colleague, what I found out. And of course, since he did the financial books, he already knew that that was the case, but previously could not disclose the information. I told him that I was really unhappy, and he said he did not blame me if I began to look for another job. As much as he did not want to lose me because I was a strong worker and the best accounting assistant that he has worked with, either way, that day I began my job search looking for work in higher education, specifically at CUNY, because I was passionate about higher education, especially public higher education. And if I'm being completely honest, I wanted to run far, far away from the private industry. Luckily, I was offered a job from CUNY Central Office just 3 months from when my search began for $10,000 more. When I told the CFO, who was my boss, that I was resigning, he tried to offer me the $50,000 to match. I respectfully told him no, and that it was too late to make my salary competitive with the other assistants. Plus, CUNY offered amazing benefits and a work-life balance, and it was the best decision that I made for myself 7 years ago. So why is me telling my story so important? According to the Federal Reserve, the 2019 Consumer Finance Survey showed little change from the survey that was completed in 2016 related to income. It shows that there is still a wealth disparity in the United States amongst ethnic groups. Compared to the Latinx community, those who identified as white have 5 times more wealth than the typical Latinx family. The median or average wealth of a Latinx household is $36,100. Wealth is defined as an abundance of valuable possessions or resources. So let's focus on income specifically. Comparatively, there's also still a disparity related to the income of the Latinx community. According to the US Census Historical Income Table, the median or average income of the Latinx community is $56,113. That's 30% less than the white household income. Income inequality remains an important topic and continues to need work. I know it is a challenging topic to talk about and very sensitive amongst our friends, families, and peers. But if we continue to unite and join organizations like the Latinx Student Union, we can create a safe space for these conversations and further educate ourselves on what is right. We must know our worth and then add tax. Don't be afraid to attend a research the average salary for your role and negotiate your salaries. Or you can look for a new job with better opportunities like I did. Seek a mentor who can help you apply and navigate the intricacies of salary negotiation, resume building, and job coaching. Or even speak up because you have a voice and you deserve to be heard. I now will pass the presentation to Christy, who will discuss health inequalities.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for sharing your story. One of the most important topics I think that is often swept under the rug for our community is mental health. The taboo within the generations in the Latinx community and family is something that I think we're all familiar with. I myself remember growing up and often hearing that a family member who, and I was too young to realize that they were suffering from a mental illness, that they were just funny from my relatives, or anytime anyone expressed any emotions or thoughts about the state of their mental health, they were told to man up or to be strong. In recent media, Lin-Manuel Miranda, along with Disney, released Encanto, a story that in a friendly Disney way touches on generational traumas and mental health issues that are found in Latinx families, from our abuelas or our matriarchs who will often ignore the suffering of our family in order to maintain the reputation of it, to the aunts and uncles who are too emotional when having justified feelings, or if anyone has a gift or talent or skill, by not using it to help others, they're often seen as selfish. There's also the Brunos of our families that we aren't allowed to talk about, but everyone in the family has the bonchinche or the chisme about them, no matter if it's right or wrong. We see that in this story, like in many of our homes, how older grandparents or parents who feel strongly that it is our burden to give and give with a smile and respect, even if it means eating away at ourselves and who we are. Millennials and younger generations are often credited for not only having these open and difficult conversations with each other, but we're also having it with our family members, even if they aren't willing to receive what we have to say. It's in that state that we ourselves are taking control and breaking these generational curses, not only in mental health, but in general health. How many of us probably joke about how growing up, if you weren't bleeding or if there weren't 3 things wrong with you, you didn't go to the doctor because it wouldn't be worth it. I can't remember how many times I would hear Ponte Vicks, or I would be fed chicken soup to cure whatever I had. Now that I myself am a parent, I'm doing things differently. I take my children to urgent care for whatever's wrong, and I read the medicine instructions, and my family tells me I'm doing too much, or you're spoiling them, or you're saying that this is all unnecessary. The strength in me to say, no, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. It's tough, right? You have to look at your family and you have to tell them that I respect you, but I'm choosing my own path. It doesn't mean that I don't care about you or that I don't love you. The biggest issue I've also seen has been with COVID. The Latinx community in neighborhoods like East Harlem are reporting low vaccination rates in older Latinx households. There's this strong distrust of the vaccine and this illness. It's really up to us to make a difference. We can make a difference. Next slide. So what can we do to make the difference? That's the big question, right? Next slide. We make the difference by joining organizations like the Latinx Student Union. The Latinx Student Union is an organization that advocates for Latinx communities to have their voices heard. This club is a place where students of all backgrounds can share their struggles within their community. This is also an organization with the vision to create a learning space for students in the community to learn about the different countries which identify as Latinx or Hispanic. We wish for this club to be inclusive to all students and alumni, especially those who may not necessarily come from a Latinx or Hispanic background and who want to learn more and help. Next slide. So now that you know what the Latinx Student Union is here to do, here's some ideas that we have brainstormed together that we would like to deliver as an organization to the SPS community. Some of our ideas are representation, networking, professional development. Each and every one of us here, we've made a commitment just by being here to higher learning and education. In this space and beyond, we potentially have future lawyers, doctors, therapists, teachers, artists, bankers, CEOs, everything you can imagine is potentially in this room right now. This is what connects us. This is a union, an organization, association, an alliance, if you will, where you'll always find allies. This is a lifetime membership you can carry with you through graduate school and beyond. Where you are in your education and career, you'll always come back here. This is always home. I want to now pass it off to Parsh to talk about the benefits of joining this organization and the benefits of being in a club here at SPS.
Thank you, Christy. So if you guys are not familiar with me, I'm Parsh. I am the Student Life Club and Organization Coordinator. I'm pretty sure the students are probably annoyed by my emails all the time that I send, but let me just say a little bit about some of the benefits of the organizations and clubs. I think first off, we have expanded a lot as a school from last semester being only 7 clubs or organizations to about 13. So it shows that, you know what, we as a community, we're coming together and we are believing in what we want to represent ourselves as. And these are just some basic, benefits of joining a club and organization. The first off is that these are funded, because we all know that, like Christy mentioned, any of these ideas she mentioned above cannot happen without us, funding these things. So it's nice to know that we're a school that has funding to have these kind of amazing, impactful activities happen. And another thing is it's a great place for network, whether you're a student or a staff member. Let's say you want to come together with a sense of community. This is the place to do it. I mean, I know a lot of people use discussion board, but discussion board sometimes is not the same exact thing as when you get to have that one-on-one experience with students and getting to know somebody, and really making those connections to build a network and really building that community, which is what SPS is all about. It's about during your college experience, if you're a student here joining us, about when you look back, you can say that you were part of something. You were part of something bigger that benefited maybe yourself or the community around you. We also honor and recognize everybody. We always look out for our students and make sure that we as a school recognize them for all their hard work, their dedication, and taking their learning outside of the classroom. So we definitely recognize and honor those. Also for graduate school, I don't know if any students are here. So if you ever want to go to graduate school and you want that letter of recommendation, this is the place to do it. If you decide 2 years later on down the road, man, I want a letter of recommendation, and you haven't really built that connection with your professors or staff members, anybody, it's going to be hard. Rather, if you have, joined one of these various clubs, especially Latinx, you will have that connection, you will build that foundation. And it's a wonderful experience of transition when you graduate, that even if you are anywhere in your career and you want to find, maybe a new job or new opportunity, once you're in once you're in the organization, you're in it for a lifetime. It's a family, it's a community that we try to build with all of our clubs organizations. And also, it's power to the students. We do not, as staff members, as faculty, we do not control anything that students do. We let them, decide how they want to do it, whatever they want to do, and we support them in that. You have myself. I'm considered a virtual president in mostly all the organizations. So let's say if you as a student are ever stressed out and you're like, man, I cannot get this done, I'm the person that helps out and make sure we push forward what the goal is of that event or whatever it is that each club and organization wants to do. We have the marketing team, which does amazing work when it comes to flyers and any cool emblems. They are amazing with that. We have the events team, which really helps showcase all the amazing events. I don't know if you guys seen throughout the semester so far, we held many, many events and more to come still. So yeah, these are just some of the amazing things that we offer that I don't think many CUNYs offer towards their students. So next slide, please. So yeah, if anyone is interested, we are going to be putting a link in below. Basically, we have a president position, treasurer, secretary, and 2 general members. And just know, whether you take any position here, we do everything as a community. We do everything together as a team. We will never ever put one work on one person. It's going to be a community effort, which is what we always aim to do. And yeah, we hope that the students that are interested, you definitely check us out. And we hope that you could be called Latinx Student Union one day. And next slide, I pass it to Teresa.
Thank you, Parsh. To close out tonight's presentation, we want to leave you with a quote from the Mexican poet Octavio Paz. Aprender a dudar es aprender a pensar, which is loosely translated to, it has been proven that to learn to question is to learn to think critically. We hope that you enjoyed our presentation and hearing what the LSU organization has to offer. If you're interested in joining the LSU organization, we do have another meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, April 12th at 6:30. We're really excited to move forward with the Latinx Student Union organization at CUNY SPS so that we can get more ideas directly from students and face those social inequalities that we mentioned tonight at tonight's presentation. Please see our contact information here. We'll also be sure to drop it in the chat. If there are any volunteers who would like to participate in the organization, even if you need more time to think about a leadership position, we'll be sharing a Google form in the chat. We are going to open it now to a Q&A discussion portion where each of you can, if you would like, use the raise your hand feature, and you can share your stories or your own personal experience or ask us any questions, and we'll answer it to the best of our ability, whether about tonight's presentation or the LSU organization. When you do complete the Google form, you will be receiving the Zoom contact details for the next meeting. And now we open it up, as I mentioned, to any questions related to LSU or any thoughts or stories that you would like to share. If so, please use the raise your hand feature or drop your comments, questions in the chat, and we'll be sure to answer as best as possible. Thank you so much. As we wait, I just wanted to read, there was really good conversations in the chat. Thank you, Joe, for saying that you love my story. Tax and gratuity. Yes, Sarah, thank you for adding that. Leah said, yes, the Vicks, my mom's favorite remedy. My mom's favorite remedy too for everything. Tiffany, if you don't mind, I'm gonna read what you shared. I just shared in my sociology PB discussion board that growing up, we only went to the doctor for our shots and annual checkup. If we got sick, we were treated with over-the-counter meds like Robitussin, and if fever was present, Tylenol. Extreme illness was treated with leftover amoxicillin. Yeah, that has happened to me. So my grandma, I don't know how she always used to get amoxicillin.
The bubblegum flavor, right?
The bubblegum flavor.
That was always in the fridge growing up.
Yeah. Again, here's the form. Lizette shared it. Thank you, Pat, for sharing your thoughts. We appreciate you all and your comments. I see Michael has his hand raised. So go ahead, Michael, if you want to share anything or ask us a question.
Oh, greetings, everybody. How are you? My name is Michael Gilbert. I'm the program coordinator for BMI SPS, a co-host, if you will, for this endeavor overall. Just wanted to shout out LSU for having a very thought-provoking discussion today, because it's always a really dope time to have these discussions, because it is an extension of scholarship inside and outside the classroom. I encourage, if my word means anything, if our word means anything, any student that's on this call to become an active member, assume the leadership positions, because whether you are here just listening, whether you are a member of the executive board, anything that you contribute counts. And hopefully whatever get from that experience as being part of this organization, among many others, you feel connects with what you've learned at this institution. I'm many years removed past my undergraduate studies, but I will definitely tell you that my involvement in student politics, being part of student organizations, and having a camaraderie with my peers was absolutely a huge part in my life and why I do what I do professionally. Not that I'm pushing that on anybody, but I guarantee you, again, whether you're an active member or you're a part of the executive board, you will realize the part that this plays in your scholarship. And I just, again, encourage you to be involved. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
We have somebody else, Leah.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. It was really great. I just want to echo what Michael had said about joining a student organization, especially in the online environment. I'm a grad student at an online school, and I will say that it wasn't. I did now join a student organization. It's a book club, but I didn't realize. I kind of hesitated because I thought, oh, in the online environment, is it possible? Um, but it's definitely been one, I would say it has helped me come out of my shell. But two, it's also the things that Michael had spoken about, the potential to build your leadership skills, network with your colleagues. I think it's a great idea. And in case there's some hesitancy about it being in an online environment, it's very, you still get that same fulfillment, I feel, versus, an in-person environment. So I definitely do echo Michael's sentiments as well. And, just there's so many rich conversations that are happening. And you guys as students have such powerful voices. And this is a really great space. I also know I'm biased because I work with Lizette and Teresa. And I know that they are so committed to seeing this student group get off the ground. But it's such a great space for you to also be able to share your voice. So just wanted to echo what Michael said. And in the online environment, it is great also. It is possible. So that's all I wanted to share.
Thanks,
Thanks so
Leah.
much.
Thank you, Leah, and thank you, Michael. There's a there's a Spanish phrase that's, I feel, repeated in every household. It's "Dime con quién andas y te diré quién sos," which means tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are. And I think, Michael, you and Leah are a great example of the support that SPS has. Thank you, Leah, for your support in backing me and Teresa up just with the statement. And Michael, thank you for representing your club and coming to join us. We really appreciate that. And we want students to know that that's the club that we are. That's what we're hoping that students take from this, is that we're really just trying to empower each other and help each other out and just make our voices heard.
I also have a question for our presenters. I think it'd be good to know for the audience, what made you guys want to start this? When we all think about creating some organization or club, we always have a story or a reason behind. Can you guys, all three of you, share with the audience about what exactly was the reason for each one of you why you guys decided to take upon this amazing organization?
Sure. Christy, do you want to kick us off as the acting president currently?
Yeah, sure. So for me, what it comes down to is it was a few things, right? In all of my years being a New Yorker, I went to New York City public schools. I'm in CUNY. I'm a proud New York City public school graduate, proud CUNY graduate. And I want to continue going to graduate school for CUNY. And for me, I grew up my whole life here. So I've constantly been surrounded by the Latinx community, being from it. And the biggest takeaway for me is I know we're here. I've seen you all in my classes, right? Whether it was at SPS, maybe I've seen Latinx students while I was getting my associate's degree. We're here. And it shocked me that when I did a quick Google search that none of these unions exist in the other CUNY campuses. And I was like, how can this be? I see you, we're here, we're together, we've passed each other on the train. And I knew that we needed this space to be here. And I wanted to use that passion that I have for my country, for my community, to help push us all forward. I want a community the same way that I know so many others have their communities and their networks of people who've lived a very similar life than me, who share my experiences, who can laugh at my childhood the same way that they've laughed at theirs. And I see no better place to do that than with like-minded individuals who are also pursuing higher education. During my presentation, I said it, in this room, we have the future. We have doctors, lawyers, teachers, artists, bankers, whatever it is, whatever you want to be, it is 100% realistic, it's achievable, and I've got your back. I don't know you, you don't know me, but I've got your back.
Thank you, Christy. As always, so powerful and motivating. So for me, when I was approached to ask if I wanted to be a co-ed advisor for the Latinx Student Union, it was for me in a way to support students and their development. Like Christy mentioned and how I mentioned in my story, I often think back to when I did graduate from undergrad. If I was involved in an organization at my university, maybe I would have had the help, maybe I would have had the guidance on negotiating the terms and agreements of my current position, or even someone to tell me, hey, Teresa, that is not the best opportunity. You can do better, you can find better, wait it out, don't worry, keep applying. Even networking. Networking is, I am by nature an introvert, I'm naturally very shy. So networking to me was always like this, you know, a word I was afraid of, especially as an undergraduate student. I didn't really like going to networking events, but if I had had someone who encouraged me to keep going and keep doing it, especially in an organization, I feel like I would have been better prepared going into the workforce. And that's why Michael says, network till your neck hurts. Exactly. Now I know that. I know that now. But I've always wanted to give back to, you know, my Latinx community, especially for someone who didn't necessarily grow up in New York. But I am so, so proud to be, you know, from the Latinx community. I'm so, so proud of my heritage. And I want to, you know, be the positive light to others and be that own mentor potentially to any students here as a co-advisor, and give them the encouragement that they need and help them network and get their word out there, because it is important that we continue to support our communities and we receive the support of other communities and advancing our communities as well, because as we mentioned, there's still inequalities, there's still disparities that we need to tackle. And we can definitely do it with organizations such as LSU and even throughout the other organizations and clubs here at SPS. So I'm definitely enthusiastic about it. As Leah mentioned, we're always looking for ways to get more members, get more engagement and members joining LSU, and, you know, view us as mentors, especially the co-advisors, because and Parsh, we're definitely here to help you throughout your undergraduate degree, your graduate degree, and even beyond.
Hey, thanks, Teresa. For me, when I was approached to help launch LSU, I was definitely a little iffy. I wasn't sure what to expect. I've never been in a student club. Even in high school, I was to school and home. My mother was a very strict Hispanic religious woman. And we were raised, I have 5 sisters, we were all raised to go to school and then go home and then go to church. So I was very iffy because it's definitely something out of my comfort zone. But, you know, I, as myself, as a Hispanic woman, you know, it's hard to break generational curses. As women, we're expected to work, come home, cook, clean, take care of the children. And, you know, roles like this, like leadership roles or roles where you network among, you know, people of your culture, different culture, it's not known. And it's definitely something I never done and I wanted to try. And I really like it. I enjoy working with Teresa a lot. Teresa and Leah were the first Hispanic women that I ever worked with. And it was cool to see that there's women like me in positions like positions that they are, which is something that you don't necessarily see. So I thought doing this club would be great to expose, you know, myself and other people to see, you know, what is going on out there and the opportunities we could do and you know, I really like it. I enjoy it. And I hope that this club does launch. And I hope it's as empowering for me as someone else.
Thank you, Lizette. Just to know, Christy added 5 generations and she's the first applying to law school. Go, Christy. That's wonderful. Thank you, Joe. He said very selfless. Chris Vine asked, are there any specific actions that you think need taking within SPS, either within the administration or academically within the programs? I think that's a great question. Christy, Lizette, does anyone want to take the lead?
Yeah. One of the many topics we actually discussed was we did notice that in the class list, there weren't many classes that actually touched base on the Latinx community and history. And that is one of the initiatives that we'd like to work on, is bringing more of those classes at the forefront for either history or English. So that definitely is one of the things on our list.
Thanks, Christy. And I think from the administration side, just getting the word out about LSU would really, really be beneficial. You know, we are working on marketing and social media, and we're happy to share any information about the club. We are constantly, again, like Christy mentioned, we see them. We know Latinx, and any supporters of the Latinx community are in our classrooms and in our offices. So just getting the word out and encouraging students to join LSU will be super beneficial. Oh, Tiffany, that's awesome. She said, I was just looking at ordering my cap and gown for graduation and added first generation graduate regalia. We're making the ancestors proud. Yes, Tiffany, congratulations. That's so exciting.
Hi, everyone. It's a little noisy in my background. That's why I'm on mute. But I just wanted to hop in really quick and say, I have enjoyed so far being part of this week's panelists and sharing these discussions and these stories in social justice. And Teresa, I believe it was you that was sharing the story about realizing that you weren't being paid fairly. As you move throughout your career, I hope you take that story and you begin to mentor up underneath you other Latinx women and men, and teach them that, you know, there is power in their voices, and that they too should be paid for their worth, because the pennies on the dollar that we get paid as minorities has to stop. So thank you for sharing that story. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. And yes, absolutely. As Lizette said, I would love to share that story more. I want to be a mentor to other Latinx females, males, minorities, to know their worth and know that they can negotiate, that they have every right to earn more money. And really, I'm very passionate about financial literacy and wealth. So I definitely want to do more of that work and be a mentor in the future. So thank you so much, Tiffany. Did I ever think about telling the controller that you might consider staying for 60K? It's actually interesting, Joe, that you asked that question. So I didn't tell my CFO that when I was looking, because for me, it was also about work-life balance and company culture. I just felt like the work-life balance and company culture for my mental health was kind of toxic. And I don't think any amount of money would actually make me want to stay in that job. And it wasn't specifically the whole entire company. It was just the CFO, who was my boss at the time. If I had another boss, I probably would have considered staying for a different amount of money. And they, not anytime soon, but when I first transferred to CUNY, I think a year after, and this is why it's also very important to bow out gracefully, they did reach out to me and ask me if I wanted to come back because the CFO had resigned. And I respectfully declined again, because I was, very happy at CUNY. And I was also looking for other opportunities within CUNY at the time. And, I'm really passionate about public higher education and just higher education in general. So no, I would have not considered. Again, it was just very toxic for me. I did find out, though, that the person who replaced My position was offered 70K. So I just really think it was a matter of, unfortunately, that income inequality and not so much the actual pay, because they definitely could have afforded 70K. But it's okay. I'm very happy where I am now, especially being here at SPS. So thank you, Leah. It's been a pleasure working at SPS for sure. But yes, like Tiffany said, I did not burn that bridge. The CFO did end up retiring, and it was the comptroller who reached out to me and said, look, I know you weren't thrilled with the CFO, but now I'm the CFO and I enjoyed working with you. And I told him, thank you so much, but I'm very happy where I'm at. And we're still, friendly to this day. So it's very important to keep those doors open, but also still know where your home is work-wise and where you're going to be the happiest. Yes, work-life balance is important. Leah says, very important to professionally exit. And Tiffany noted, very important in our adult and professional and personal lives, do not burn bridges you may need to cross back over. Very true. These are all great questions. Parsh, do we have time for maybe one or two more questions? Oh, Parsh, your audio, I think, went out.
Is it better?
Yeah.
So any other questions from our audience? We would love to hear from you guys. Anybody want to talk about anything related to Latinx? Or I know we have some presidents here as well supporting us tonight. If anybody wants to offer any advice to anybody who might be a little on the fence about joining one. Or, oh, you have a question in the comments. Why do you think Hispanics are given less opportunities? From Jasmine.
I can tell you from my experience, my name is very American, right? Christy. It was done very purposely by my mother. She gave me a white passing name, and she purposely did not give me a very strong Latin middle name, because then she thought I would be easily detected when I entered the workforce. And I can tell you now that, I've been in nonprofit management for quite some time, and I found myself actually putting A-R when I reach out to companies, because I found that my last name is too much for them. And to me, I feel like it's really simple. 2 last names, a hyphen, 5 letters each. What's the issue? But I tell you, I've also been in meetings where even with the name Christy, I have been asked bold-faced to my face, so English is your first language? Oh, my favorite, like how you immigrated here. And I had to say, I'm American. I was born here. And I had an advisor, not from CUNY, in high school tell me, well, your parents were obviously immigrants. I was like, no, my parents were actually born in this country too. And I had to stop him and say, my family immigrated here in like the 1940s or 1930s, 1940s. We are American. What is the point of this conversation? And the point was that he did not think that because I was what he thought an alleged immigrant new to the country, I wasn't qualified for an internship in the New York City courthouses. So those less opportunities, I really think, are just about this bias that people have when they see us. Does anyone else want to speak to maybe similar situations they've been in, like I was, when it came to opportunities?
I think first, sorry that you went through that, because I think it happens across all groups of minorities. For sure. I remember when I was in high school, and this was in Florida, predominantly, white American neighborhood. In the class, we were in my AP literature class, and one of the boys in the class said, well, I don't think it's fair that she gets a scholarship over me just because of her ethnicity. And I was really taken aback. I ended up leaving the class because I was really shocked that he would say something like that. Never have I ever gotten, or never did I ever get a scholarship to university because of my race. It was because of my GPA and because my parents instilled in me education and that I had to work hard and that I had to study and be the top 10% of my class. So there's a lot, Jasmine, that we can dive into because of why we're given less opportunities. But I just think that unfortunately, systemically, these are the mindsets that have been in place for minority groups. And that's why it is definitely important that we have our voices heard, that we representation, like Christy mentioned in one of our slides, is super important to feel that familiarity, that, you know, just seeing another face, like Lizette mentioned, working with Leah, who is Latina, and me, and just knowing that we can definitely do our part as well as be an example for others. But, you know, it's taken a while, and I think we still have a lot of work ahead of us, unfortunately, but I remain positive that we can do it and do the work and hopefully give more opportunities to the generations that are coming behind us.
We have a raised hand from Sarah.
Hi. So my name is Sarah, and I am actually the president of the Health Services Administration Organization. I just wanted to tell you guys this was fantastic. I can feel the energy. I love the enthusiasm. I love what you guys stand for. I really hope that you're able to grow, you know, and expand your club. What else? I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of other things people said. So I didn't go to college, you know, when I should have. So now I'm doing my bachelor's. But one of my biggest regrets was not going away for school. That was something that was really important to me. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. I had my son when I was 20, and I did my associates at Hostos, and then I took a few years off, decided to jump into my bachelor's. I was super afraid, but, you know, I had to eventually face my fears. So here we are. And this was a way for me, joining a club, let alone being president, which I never even thought to do. But this was a way for me to kind of have that away experience, if it makes sense. Networking, meeting new people. I am also very shy. And for a very long time, I struggled with public speaking. I did take a public speaking class at the end of my associates, which did help, but, you know, I'm also an introvert. So this is just, it's just nice. It's really rewarding. If you're not in a club, I highly recommend it. It's a community, it's a family, it's a great experience. I see every meeting that I go into as an opportunity to practice my public speaking, as well as when I reach the point of me, you know, becoming an administrator. And yeah, I just want to encourage, for those of you who are not in a club, organization, or anything, to join. It's just really nice, and I have a good time, and I feel like I've made new friends, and it's just a really nice thing to have, just, you know, something that I can keep and have forever. So not only am I learning from, you know, as I go along being a president, but I'm also learning from my classmates, which I think is really cool. And yeah, I just wanted to share and congratulate you guys. You did a fantastic presentation.
Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for the encouragement. And, you know, you're completing your bachelor's at the right time for you. So that's what's important. And that's actually something that we were discussing kind of offline, just the different paths that we all take. So thank you for being brave enough to share that with us. And we're excited, and we'll, you know, if we have any questions, we might reach out to you. And, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, everybody. It's 6:59. So thank you all for attending, and I hope you keep Latinx Student Union in your mind. All right, take care, everybody. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
everyone. Have a
you.
great night.
Good night.